Hello everyone, Bashar here. Yeah, I'm guessing you will be first wondering why 116 rounds, what an odd number. The other thing is, you see, when I was like 80, 90 rounds in, I bought a big supply of faces, and then the game started trolling me by dropping a lot of faces, and I thought the bigger the data pool, the better, so I ran until I ran through all of them. So that's how I arrived at 116. It has no special meaning, and I will again apologize beforehand for blinding you. I kept the stuff in an Excel, so I will try to keep the file in proper size so it doesn't fully blind you guys, but let's just go over it. I wish I had the skills to showcase you what I found, but yeah, I don't, so we'll have to make do with the Excel. So guys, I have showed you this before in a previous video, but I will explain what's going on here. This is the run identifier. This is the number of um, drops in divines, so what I got in divines, right, the approximate value. And of course this could be a little bit lower or it could be a little bit higher, depending on the market fluctuations, but generally I think it would be a little bit lower, but I think that was that will get cancelled out, evened out, because I don't really count the odd drops that I get, for example 20 exalted, 4 chaos, that sort of thing. And obviously in the course of 116 hours they would have added up to some divines, so I think those will negate. If I was able to find the urn or not, I don't think this was a very good idea to keep track of it, because this does also take time. But yeah, I mean, so you could see, and the number of vases that I got, right? These are all against the darkness runs, by the way. These are all against the darkness runs with 6. Let me just show you here. 6, 10, 20 relics. No honor resistance, no merchant choice, whatever, right? All of them are done the same way. 10, 20, 6, 10, 20s. Okay, so 60% movement speed, 120% increased quantity, and I put a vase here, and sadly these two spaces go to waste. There is no workaround, right? You could use a 3x1 and 1x3 here if you wanted, but yeah, I wanted the max quantity. So let's go back. So yeah, that's the number of total runs. That's the number of urns I have managed to get in the course of those runs. That is the number of expect artifacts I should be getting, taking into account the urn, right? And that is the number of vases I got, and that's the vase drop rate. So that we did get something meaningful out of this. The vase drop rate is 20%. That means every time you get a unique relic from the last boss, it has a 20% chance of being a vase, right? So for example, if you are playing with maximum relic quantity, which is 180%, and you get the urn on top, that is 234%, which means you will be getting 10 relics once every 3 rounds, right? Which means you'll be getting 2 vases out of 3 rounds, which is pretty nice, right? Season beginning, you get yourself 9 20% quantity relics, and as I said, you are able to find the urn every single run, which is not going to happen. This is theoretical, but then you would be getting 2 vases every 3 rounds, which is going to be a nice starter at the beginning of the season, because vases are always worth some divines, and when you're poor, running vases is not very easy. You could just sell them and get yourself better relics or better gear. So there is that. And here is the notes. I did start with doing the notes a little bit later on, so not everything is explained, but when you see the drops 1 or 2 there, they are generally the odd divine or greater exalted, perfect exalted or perfect chaos or something like that. When you see like 5 or 8 in there, generally that means a non-garbage against the darkness, not a very good one, maybe 4% lightning and some bad modifier sort of thing. And the total drops I have gotten in the course of 116 rounds is almost 2,400 divines, and at some point I started selling the bad against the darkness instead of re-rolling them. That was rather towards the end, because they were selling for a bad price. So at the beginning I was just recombining them, right? 3 for 1, because they were selling like 2.5 divine, and that's not worth it. But when the price is comparable to the vase, I start selling them, and this is the approximate vase cost. We got ourselves 55 vases. We spent 116, which means I had spent 61, right? And the vase cost is there. So total drops plus bad against darkness sales minus vase cost over the number of runs gives us 20 divines per run. And if you have seen the previous video in which I displayed to you this file to you guys, it was nearer 50 divines. Yeah, so that was a little bit misleading. I was extremely lucky there, it appears, right, which you'll see. So yeah, but around, I think, 20 divines per run, I think it stabilizes, because I had an extremely unlucky streak, which you will see in a few minutes. So there is the deaths here. Deaths is in quotes because you can't literally die, right? Your honor would deplete. I had an extremely bad run in which I had the additional affliction thing forced down on me, and then I also got the merchant offers a single choice, blah blah. It was terrible, and in that run I died. So that is one vase wasted, and that is the Forgotten Relics minor affliction, which reduces the number of which reduces the potency of the relics that we use here by 50%. It's terrible. So it costs me 0.6 relics. Yeah, so that is the, and I didn't keep the counter here, but I did advise you guys to always get at least one gold key, because at the end of the run you can find the Spectrum Cache, and that's going to be worth at least 15 divine up to 60 divine or so. So I managed to get a gold key in every single run. Yeah, I was in 2 rounds or so. I was very lucky. I had like 2 rooms left. I couldn't see the rewards, but still I managed to get one, because the monsters can drop them. There are a lot of rooms, especially on the last floor, that give you gold keys. So you always get your hands on one of these. I mean, even if you can't, I would say it's gonna be like 1 in 100 runs or so that you don't get gold keys, right? So I didn't document that. So let's get into my drops. As you can see, as soon as I started keeping track, I did get a lightning fire, 265 divine. Then yeah, the grand prize, lightning cold, that's the best one there is. That's 575 divine. And the thing is, guys, sometimes the numbers that you see here will not agree with the market prices. There are 2 reasons for that. First of all, well, the market changes, right? I mean, at some point these were up to like 750, and now maybe they are like 450. I don't know, but that's the price at the time. And also, I also subtract the amount of divines, right? Because when I get a light code, it's not 4 perfect. It's like a 2-3 or something like that random, right? And at that level of loot, I want to sell it perfect, because people have a tendency to search for perfect stuff. I mean, guys, the guy that has 600 divine to slap on a lightning cold against the darkness, does not try to save like 5 divine or something by trying to buy a low one and divining it himself. He just looks for the perfect one. So that's why. So for example, I think this was like, I think I was a little unlucky here, and I had to spend like 15 divine or something, and it was worth 590 divine. You get the gist, right? That's why there could be differences here. And then on round 22, I got a lightning spirit, which is 275. So for example, these are now like 600, right? Very, very different. But yeah, as you can see, that's why my average was on around 50, right? I did have 3 big hits in 22 rounds. And thing is, before these, I had like 30 rounds or so, I think, that I didn't document, right? I can't tell you exactly because I didn't document, but I had 2 big ones in there as well. So, my mirror grind from Trial of Sekhemas, I was a little bit obscenely lucky at the beginning, but then it evened out. You'll see Emerald Plus, that means I did get an Emerald, and I got a semi-decent against Darkness there. because 30, right? At the time, emeralds were like 20, I think. Now they are more like 15. And when I say emerald, guys, I mean, the spectrum emerald, right? And fire cold here, yeah. You guys must be thinking lucky bastard here, yeah. I am. At the time, though, some rounds later you will take pity on me. I got a sapphire here. I got a reliquary here. Reliquary means, guys, sometimes Zarok can drop, and against the darkness with a fancier look. He drops a reliquary key, and you take that reliquary key to the reliquary, and then you get your fancy looking against darkness. That's all for 38, right? And then I got an int spirit. Anything with spirit is good. Even garbage spirit ones are around 30 divines. Something tangible, and the price jumps quite a bit. Yeah. I did get a movement rune here, the one that we put in the boots, 5% movement speed. Some mediocre AtD. This is Chaos Res Spirit, I guess. Yeah. Or Cold Res Spirit, maybe. Chaos Res Spirit, yeah. Yeah. And here comes my dry spell. I got a ruby here, spectrum ruby, 60 divines. And finally, guys, now that my dry spell hits, I got a fire spirit that sold for 295 at round 52. And now I'm gonna get screwed very big time. Watch this. You'll see the ruby here, and you'll maybe say you didn't get screwed, but take a look at this. I did get the ruby here, and that will be the only valuable drop, right? I got a sapphire and a life strength here. Sapphire was like 15, life strength was like 8. Apparently I did get something here as well. I got another sapphire here. I got a lightning percentage, strength percentage here. And when I say lightning, guys, I don't mean lightning resistance or maximum lightning resistance. Of course, I mean the gain additional damage as lightning damage flow, blah blah. Right, sapphire here. Take a look at this, guys. And as you can see, it's very blank. I don't even have the odd divines or something, right? Life strength, just a pure 4% lightning one. Yeah, nothing. The game took pity to me here, and I did get my only valuable unique here for the season. This is the 10 divine Calm Heart, 1500 life thingy. That's the only valuable unique I found in the entire season. The other thing I found was the life stacking helmet. I think that sold for 1.5 divine. I didn't get any other valuable uniques the entire season. I got a random spirit one, 32. I guess you could say the dry spell broke a little here, but finally it did break here. I did get an emerald and spirit strength in the same run, which sold for 210 total. Yeah. So the spirit ones gained a lot of value, right? Because take a look at this. I have an intelligence spirit here that sold for 90. Strength spirit is for 210. But of course, different builds. And then I got a fire and strength one here, and then I draw blank. So yeah. So guys, the average of it comes down to 20 divines per run on average, which I would say is still pretty good. So guys, if you want to get your hands on a mirror, and if you don't consider me lucky overall here, it takes about 80 rounds or so, something like that. As I said, the prices were based on the thing and on the current prices, but thing is, for example, I could have maybe knocked down this price by a few divine to make a faster sale. I didn't update that, but as I said, during the course of the run, you get a few chaoses, you get a few exalteds, maybe the anal. I didn't add that as one divine there, and I'm sure they would add up to some low 2-digit divines at the end. So I think that kind of rounding would counteract the price knocking off of these. As I said, so this 20, does not feel like it was very lucky to me, right? So this part was extremely lucky, and I didn't understand it then, but now I can tell huge dry streak of over 50 runs if you don't count that ruby in there. Yeah, broke after. And guys, imagine starting like this. You know, you would go crazy, right? Run 52, I got the fire spirit. Run 106, I got this one. So 53 rounds of kind of nothing, right? It's pretty bad, yeah. So yeah, on average it's about 20 divines per run, and to the mathematician in me, this doesn't feel like it was lucky, so, or unlucky, right? I would say it's about average. So if you have the patience, right, and the time, it's well worth doing. But you know, be prepared for huge dry spells. It can happen. We will do some, deep diving into AtD mechanics. There are actually a lot of valuable ones, but there is some weight involved. So it's not like you can get a valuable one once every 10 rounds or so. I would say you would be getting a valuable one. Let's say, just take a look here. 1 valuable, 2 valuable, 3 valuables, 4, 5. I do not count this one as valuable now. 5, 6. That doesn't count either. Doesn't count. 7. So 7 valuables in 116 runs, right? So that means like a valuable once every 17. I mean, let's just go a little pessimistic. You can expect to get 1 valuable every 20 runs. So yeah, unless Against the Darkness gets nerfed again, which I don't think, because it's been nerfed to hell. It was large radius, then it was nerfed down to medium radius, now it's down to small radius, and the life and mana aren't percentage anymore. The attributes can roll only 3% now instead of the 4%. So I don't think it's getting any more nerfs. So if it's not getting any more nerfs, it will definitely be viable in the next season. But obviously you should not be starting like this, right? This is the top level of farming. You should be starting with as many 20% quantity of relics as you can find. Maybe slap a few honor resistance and then work your way up. You will be getting a lot of relics as well. You can sell those relics. You can use the upgrades, right? You could sell them and improve your gear, because this should be done after your gear is done, right? 520s, 620s are perfectly viable, right? Let's just take a look at this. For example, as 1020. Let's take a look at the price. 220, that's actually cheap. Normally they are about 25, but let's take a look at 520s, 7. 420s, 7. Yeah, I mean, so I think it's a better idea to spend 7, 6 on these, and fill your inventory, and then use the remaining 100 divines on your gear. And when you are very safe when doing AtD runs, then you can upgrade them into 1020s eventually. So for example, when I upgraded to 1020s, at the end all of them were 8 or 920s for me, right? I mean, I didn't have any immediate need for currency, and then and only then I went for the final pieces of movement speed. So that's about it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will try to answer, and I'll see you on the stream. Bye bye.